Now this headline is just plain weird, friends. WND reports Pope promotes socialism, likens Jesus to ISIS. Pope Francis, in an interview with the French newspaper The Croix, suggested a likeness between ISIS and Jesus by explaining that while the idea of conquest is inherent in the soul of Islam, it was quite possible to interpret certain passages of the Gospels, particularly in Matthew, as a call for Christians to go forth with this same idea of conquest in their discipleship. His specific words, according to an English interpretation of his comments, were, "Today, I don't think that there is a fear of Islam as such, but of ISIS and of its war of conquest, which is partly drawn from Islam. It is true that the idea of conquest is inherent in the soul of Islam. However, it is also possible to interpret the objective of Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus sends his disciples to all nations, in terms of the same idea of conquest." He also said economies need a state to monitor and balance them, and the failure of Christians in Europe to properly assimilate with Muslims as causing much of the tensions of recent times, ostensibly to include acts of terror. Friends, I've said this before, Pope Francis is the most political pope of recent times, and what a bizarre thing to say, likening Jesus and his disciples to the conquest of ISIS. Let's just understand what a conquest is. A conquest is to subjugate by force, to violently take control of an area by military force, for example, to capture an area through violence. Agreed, this is ISIS' mission, as we can see, but really I don't recall Jesus and his disciples ever going about murdering, pillaging, crucifying and executing acts of terror upon innocent lives. Indeed, it was Jesus and his disciples who were the ones crucified. Now maybe, friends, the Pope meant something else and used the wrong choice of words, but sadly I don't think he did, especially when you couple that with the other statement he made about the failure of Christians to assimilate with Muslims as causing much of the tension in Europe. Basically, friends, it seems that he's blaming Christians for the acts of terror committed by Muslims. Now, there's an agenda here going on, friends. The Pope is not working alone. He can't be, which is why he continues with this political rhetoric. As I've said before, one of the pillars used to create the New World Order will be that of religion, because religion can be used to sway groups of people to accept policies that they would otherwise flatly oppose, especially when those political policies are being promoted by someone as influential and spiritual as the head of the Catholic Church. And this, friends, is why the Antichrist, the political world leader, will have a false prophet by his side, because the false prophet will empower the Antichrist by conditioning the people into accepting his policies. The people will be swayed into believing that the policies being enacted are morally and spiritually right.